it's fair to say my Uni Karu is a complete life changer, and that's an understatement. It really has changed my life.
That was Scott of Scott's Pizza Project, and it's your boy, Idriff, and you're listening to the What's Good Dough podcast. Whether it's pizza, business, or life, my guests and I are always talking about ways we can level up. Today, we're going to follow up with our good friend Scott, who was on our show in early 2021. When I interviewed this viral pizza sensation, he was not yet an Ooni Ambassador, so we catch up on his life ever since then. He also gives us his best tips and strategies on taking your best pizza photos. And finally, he shares with us some exciting news regarding his new book, The Ooni Pizza Project. For your convenience, there's an auto-generated transcript on my website. Just go to whatsgooddough.com/Scott. Link to that and other important links are going to be in the show's description. This is an amazing episode, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And remember to always ask, what's good, dough? Hello, pizza pals. I have with me today a very, 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 very special guest. Scott is back, joining us from Scott's Pizza Project. If you don't know who he is, check out the first interview. He is just an amazing pizza maker, amazing community builder on Instagram, and now, an author of an amazing pizza book. Scott, welcome to the show. How are you doing, bud?
Thank you. I'm really good, thank you. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Excellent. It's so good to have you back, just because it's been over a year since we last chatted on the podcast, and so much has gone on.
Yeah, it has. It's been a crazy, just over a year now, I think. Yeah, it's been busy.
It has, I'm sure, for the both of us, but just to be able to call you a friend and keep tabs on you and just chat whenever we have the time, it's good that we have that.
Yeah, it is, and it's a nice thing to have, and that's what the community, the pizza community in general, is just. It still amazes me now, really, how you can be so close to people that you've never met. It's like it's really strange, but it's good. It's really nice.
Yeah, believe that too. Well, you know how it goes. There is one way that I like to start the show. There's no right or wrong answer. What's good, dough?
I've thought about this long and hard, and I didn't want to say the same thing as I said before. So I'm going to go quite simple with my answer. What's good dough for me is it can be any dough that just makes people happy. I think that's as clear as it can be, really, because the reason I say that is because quite recently I had a lot of friends and family over for a big pizza party for Uni Day, actually. It was the recent Uni Day. And so I had to make quite a big batch of dough, which I don't normally do. And it didn't really turn out as well as my dough normally does. I think maybe because it was a bit of a hectic day, so it got left a bit longer than I would normally leave it. It was quite a hot day as well, so I think it was a bit overproofed. So I was a bit worried, really, because I put a lot of pressure on myself when I'm cooking for other people. I really want it to be perfect, and then the first two pizzas came out, and I was a bit like, I'm not. They don't look as good as normal. So I was a bit annoyed, really. But then I looked around and I looked in my garden, and people were eating it, and I could hear some of the comments saying how nice it was, and I just thought, well, that's what it's all about. I might think it's not very good, but if everyone else does, then that's all that counts, really. Just making people happy.
What would you do differently next time you throw an Uni Day party?
I think I'd probably reduce my hydration a little bit on the dough, just in case I was leaving it a bit longer, because I think my problem was people started arriving. Not everyone arrives at the same time, so all my time planning went out the window straight away. But I think if you reduce the hydration a little bit, it gives you a little bit more leeway on that amount of time. But other than that, no, I don't think I'd do much differently, because we got the kids involved. They were making like stretching and topping their own pizzas, like we did mini ones, and they loved it. And that side of it was really good, like seeing people get involved, especially the younger, like the kids, and they had a great time. And like they were so proud of what they'd made, like, and how nice it tasted, and that was really good. I'd encourage anyone to do that. If you have family over, just get everyone involved.
And it relieves some of the pressure off of you, because you essentially have a team there. You know, they're taking care of toppings. You can maybe help stretch it out and then load it in, and then they can finish it off when it gets out of the oven. Take away all the hard parts and give them some of the easier things to do.
Yeah.
Moving things along, you know, I said to you that I wanted to just continue on where we left off in the conversation. I don't want to give too much background. If you want to get to know Scott, he has an amazing, story thus far. And so I'll link the original episode in the show notes. A lot of people have listened to it already, but just to move things along, the moment we posted that podcast, not the moment, but like weeks after, you made a special announcement with your relationship with Ooni.
Yeah. I think it was like 2 weeks after, I think it was. And I still to this day have to thank you, because I believe my first episode with you contributed to me becoming an ambassador, because Ooni reached out to me and told me that they had listened to the podcast and loved my story and how I came across, etc. And it was only a week after that I then had the offer to be part of the ambassador program. So I thank you for that, because I think it really did help. It was it's a good opportunity for people to see who you are as a real person, and not like an Instagram account, because you can try your best to make it personal on your account, but actually speaking to someone and having the chance to talk about your journey and what you've gone through, I think that's a really good opportunity for anyone that can have that.
I am not going to take any credit at all. If anything, I gave you that space to talk, and if that helped, cool, but you were going to get it no matter what. And many congrats. I guess, what has life been like as an Ooni ambassador for a little over a year now?
It was a really proud moment. It's, I think, from day one of having my Instagram page and my Ooni oven, I just felt a real connection with the brand. It just felt right. I think sometimes you get a feeling of things, of companies and brands, that you just click with, and like I say, it just felt right from the word go. And I never knew what was going to happen going forward, but I always had an ambition to just be part of the brand in some capacity, not necessarily become an ambassador. It's not something I thought to myself straight away, right, I want to be an Ooni ambassador, I'm going to do it, because I think it does have to be natural. You have to get how you are as a person across, because I think that's what Ooni look for in people. It's not just about what your pizza looks like. It's about how you are as a person, because I know they value their core values very highly, and I think they look for people who share those values of just being a good, honest person, really. So I just felt a connection straight away. And then I'd done a couple of bits and bobs with Ooni before I was an ambassador. I had one of my recipes put in their Father's Day recipe book in 2020, and then I did another recipe for their website, which was featured on their website. And so it was kind of like a developing journey, really. And then it all came to fruition in last year, and since then it's just been great. It's been busy. It's been different, because I think when you make, because I still make content for myself, but when you're also making monthly content for someone else, so it's like an added pressure, really. And I think because you're making it for someone else, you always want it to be, well, I always want it to be the best anyway, but you want it even better if you're making it for someone else. So, like I say, it's been very busy, but very, very enjoyable as well. And I think that's the key to it. Has to stay enjoyable. I think the moment you start finding it too much, almost like a job, rather than a hobby, I think that's something you have to be careful with. But I'm still absolutely loving it. Still love working for them. Well, not working for them, but working with them. And long may it continue.
In addition to having just this beautiful Instagram that you have, you are also, like I mentioned in the intro, a community builder, someone who is responding, and Ooni sees that, and that's just the type of person you are. And so just sticking to who you are authentically and organically, and not doing certain things just so you can get noticed, I think is key, because people can just read through that, right? They can smell the fake, even though it's like you're not right next to you. It's like the screen shares a lot of who a person is.
Yeah, I think that's right. And there's a lot of it goes on unseen as well, because you can be responding to private messages, helping people who come into you with questions and want help with certain things, but no one physically sees that you're doing that, because that's all done in private. But it's, if you weren't doing it naturally, you wouldn't be helping those people. And I think one of the biggest things that I enjoy doing is helping people, because everyone starts somewhere. And I remember starting myself, and I'd reached out to other people who helped me, and people don't have to help. I think that's an important thing to remember. But the people that do help, they're taking time out of their own whatever they're doing to help you. And it's just a great feeling when you can help someone, and someone responds back, say in a day or two's time, when they've made some pizzas, and they come back to you saying, "Well, I just wanted to say they turned out really well. Really appreciate your help." It's things like that which make it all worthwhile. It's and that's something that I never get tired of doing. It can be time consuming. Don't get me wrong. You could be spending a long time going through messages and queries and stuff. But like I say, when people are grateful and thankful, it's just a good feeling.
I want to talk to you about, one thing that you had mentioned to me before is that, like, you are, how do I put this? You're making an extra effort to, I guess, perfect your Instagram photos. And maybe the word is like optimizing it. You're optimizing your Instagram photos to increase engagement. And I would love to spend some time on that, because I think if, my audience has told me one thing, is that we're all on the Instagram community. If we could, expose some of the secrets, I think people would get a lot of value from this.
A lot of my photography is done by my wife. She's a very good, she's not a professional photographer, but she's very good. And since we started out, although I'm I suppose you could call me the face of the account, it's very much a team effort. and we do things together. And I'll even include my daughter in that team. So if me and my wife are outside doing some photography, my daughter Lily will be inside making sure the dog's being entertained and keeping him out of the way so he's not jumping on the table trying to eat the pizza. It's very much a team effort, and I don't like to take too much credit for how the photography is. I can take credit for how the pizza looks, but photography wise, my wife is very much in charge. But I have learned a lot from her, so I do feel like I can go into that. I think the key is to you have to think about the whole package. And what a term that I learned quite early on from my wife was to dress a photo. So it's not just holding a pizza and taking a photo of it. You've got to think about how it looks and what you could maybe put around it or put it on just to make it stand out. Because at the end of the day, no matter what anyone says, Instagram is a photo-based platform. Well, it's reels and videos as well, but it started out as a photo-based platform. So it is visual. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. So you've got to make it look as nice as possible, and just put in those little extra touches. It might mean that your pizza's going to cool down a little bit before you can eat it, but these are the things that you have to be willing to accept to hit those good photos. I mean, I've invested in a few like photo backdrops, like vinyl, different patterns like marble, slate, things like that. It just elevates it, and it just makes it look nicer. And think about the other things that are in the photo. So if you're taking a photo, make sure you've not got something in the background. I don't know, some pots and pans. It's things like that which make it stand out. Or if you're taking a photo with the pizza holding it, don't get your feet in it or little. Do you know what I mean? Like just little. It's just noticing like other things that might be in the photo which would detract from the actual pizza, because that is what you're photographing. That's what you want people to look at. You don't want people to be looking at it going, oh, look at all that in the background. You want people's focus to be on what you want them to look at. So, because I remember I think the first photo I took of a pizza on like day one of making my first ever pizza in my uni, I think I held the pizza up on a peel, and there was all sorts of rubbish in my garden, like there was just stuff everywhere. And I remember my wife saying to me, like, you don't want, you could have just turned around that way and nothing's in the background, but I didn't think about it. And I think it's a form of being creative and just knowing how to visualize something before you actually do it. So that's something that I do a lot of now. I think about the photo before I've made the pizza, so I'm prepared. I've got everything I need. Say if it's say a margarita, you might want to put a few tomatoes around it, or some olive oil or something like that. So it's think about what you're going to do before you actually make your pizza, and then you're more prepared. And it can be quicker then as well. Then it won't cool down as much.
I love that. You're thinking ahead of what you're going to need so that you're minimizing the time that your pizza gets cold. No, but really though, just like seeing the full picture of what you're trying to present on your Instagram. so that it comes out the way you want it. I've been so guilty. I used to keep my trash bins. I live in a very small size lot, right? And I live off of a main road. And so where we keep our trash bins used to be inside of our backyard, but now we've found a little spot outside where it's out of the way. I moved my tables to a certain area. And then I have this third uni table that they sent me. And I now make sure that before I start cooking, I'll clean it, right? Because all this dust is accumulating. I'll clean that so it's sparkling clean. I'll move it to an area that gets ideal light where the background is a garden that doesn't look as dead or desolate as the rest of my backyard because it's not perfect yet. And just kind of all those little micro shifts, like small details, just go a long way.
I think that's
is what I'm trying to
That's a perfect way of summing it up. It's small details that make big differences. And one thing you did say, which I didn't think of at the time, is light. It is so key. I mean, unfortunately, there are times of the year where you can't do your photos outside because of the weather. But if one thing I will say is, if it's dry, do it outside. Even if it's not sunny or really nice sunshine, do the photographing outside, because personally, I don't think you can beat natural light. It makes, if I look at the photos that I post, which are done inside, I mean, I do have artificial light to brighten it up, but the difference between those ones and the ones shot outside is just unbelievable, really. So that's a big bit of advice. If it's not raining, do it outside.
Oh my goodness. I'm not going to lie to you. All right. I first noticed this when I was on the Explore page, and I saw this pizza. It instantly caught my eye, and I was like, damn, that looks like it was taken outside. And then I clicked it, and it was my friend Brett from Farm Fired Pizza, who's now Pizza Nerds. And I looked at it, and this thing had gone viral. And I was like, oh crap. It's because of the lighting. It's because when you are looking at the Explore page, what pops out? It's the brightest one. And so it took me a while to implement that. I noticed all of my shots were inside the home, and it just looked flat or dark or what. It didn't pop. But the minute I started baking outside, and really the uni table, thank you, Ooni, for sending me an extra one by accident and then letting me keep it. Now I use that to stage my pizzas, and my Instagram has like gone night and day. Like all of my last 6 photos of maybe 3 photos of my personal pizza making has gotten so much more engagement, more comments. And just because I've kind of started putting these small details, these ideas into play, and mainly the biggest game changer for me was just doing things outside. And I'm capitalizing on the fact that it's summer.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is it's not like a criticism of people, because I was the same. I just think sometimes you just don't think about these things. You just take a photo and you do it. And I think it's not until, like I say, I'm lucky enough to have my wife who's very artistic and good with the camera, and who's coached me a lot over the last 2 years, and I've learned so much. And I do, if my wife's at work and I'm doing some pizzas and making some content, I'm quite confident now doing it myself, because I do know what I'm looking for now. I do know what I'm doing, and that's so. I think it's just a case of just taking a step back and just thinking about those small details, and they will elevate your photos to the next level.
I think what you said there was key. Knowing what you're looking for. And if you have an untrained eye, or you're just starting off, or you whatever the case may be. It's like sometimes you just don't know what you're looking for. So having that person to help you, or having that experience to figure out what it is you want your end result to look like, is just a matter of time and training.
Yeah, and also like it's the same with if you need help making a pizza, reach out to people and ask for help. And if you see an account where you really like the style that they have, ask them questions. And like I said, people do ask me about that side of things as well. And like I say, that it's not as important as your pizzas, but it's a big part of running an Instagram page if that's what you're looking to achieve.
That is so key, right? Because there's nothing in this like pizza lover's handbook that says you have to run an Instagram page, right? But we ourselves are choosing to share our pizzas on a platform. And the reality is, it's like you can share your pizzas to no one and be completely content. Fine. Or you can continue to get suggested to your pizza pals on Instagram that follow you. You may or may not if the pizza isn't performing. And so really it's just about, do you want to put your pizzas publicly out there? And if you do, there are little bits and pieces that you have to consider when posting. And that's just, I think, what we're trying to point out here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for indulging me in that. I hope people got value in that. I want to switch gears and talk about this amazing announcement that you just made. Congratulations. You're an author.
Thank you.
What? How does...
Yes.
Give me everything that you can.
Yeah, I'm still getting my head around that myself.
Cheers, man. Like, this is good stuff. What is the book about? Give me the who, what, where, when, why, how. Like, for anyone listening who hasn't seen the announcement, maybe take me back to how you even got approached first.
Yeah. Okay. So it was towards the end of last year. I think it was October time. I literally just got a DM on Instagram from someone who worked at a company called Page Street Publishing in Salem, in America, saying that they really liked my account. They'd looked into all the way through my account, looked into some of the other work that I've been doing since I started, and they were really keen to see if I was interested in making my own recipe book. And I was a bit blown away, really. I won't lie, I always treat messages like that with a bit of hesitation, because there are a lot of fake things like that going around. I've had things before where people have said, "Oh, do you want to be involved in this?" and it's not real. And so I always just be a bit hesitant. But she signed off by saying, if you're interested, let me know who your agent is and I'll contact them. And I was like, well, I haven't got an agent for a start. I'm not. I'm just a part-time pizza blogger. But I did a bit of research. I looked into the company she said she was working for. I went through their website, just looking into to get a feel for it, really, and see if it was genuine, really, if I'm honest. And it quickly became apparent that it was genuine. So I had a bit of a think about it. I had a chat with the family and then decided I wanted to hear a bit more about it. So we arranged a video call with the publisher and one of the editors, and they talked me through the vision that they had. And then I quickly realised I want to do this. This sounds like something I've been waiting for for something like this to come around, really. And it seemed right. So then the ball started rolling from there, really. We started discussing contracts, and for anyone that doesn't know, it's called the Ooni Pizza Project, which is obviously a bit of a spin on my name, because they wanted it to have an involvement with Ooni, the brand, as well. It's nothing official with Ooni, but with being an ambassador, I wanted to get their Ooni's approval to go ahead and write the book, because obviously I'm going to be writing about their product. So I don't think I needed to do that officially, but I wanted to do that because I thought it was the right thing to do. And straight away, Ooni were great. They said, yeah, you've got the green light from us. So from that point, that was when it really started going ahead, really. And I think I signed the contract just before Christmas, and then started writing recipes from then until June. It's just been submitted to go to the copy editor, and we also, rather than hiring a professional photographer, we decided that my wife Nikki was going to do all the photography for the book as well. So that's what I was saying about a team effort. It's just felt like a progressive journey that we've been on together, really, and doing it. It's been difficult because we've both got jobs, and fitting it in that's been the most difficult thing, is the time, making time to get it done. It's I think I did underestimate how much time it would take to get to this point, but it's been worthwhile. It's a proud moment, and I've been dying to tell people for absolutely ages. So I've kept my mouth shut for 7 months now. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, but it's been brilliant. It's been really, it has been quite stressful at times and hard work. But when you get into this point, you start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and you start feeling really proud of what I've achieved, because I can hand on heart say every word in that book has been written by myself. There's been no what do they call them, ghostwriters, nothing like that. Every word has come from me, and it's not just a recipe book. I mean, I think it's got about 50 of my recipes in it. So I've got my 4 master dough recipes for Neapolitan, New York, Detroit, and like a Tonda Romana thin and crispy pizza. So that's the basis of the doughs. And then you've got the different chapter with all different recipes in. But it also gave me an opportunity to write about the Ooni products and how you use their products, which was really good. I really enjoyed that because, like I say, I've got a big affinity with Ooni. So feeling that they've put their trust in me to write about their products, and that's a really good feeling as well. So there's a whole chapter at the start of the book devoted to using all the different types of Ooni products, all my tips on how to use them, how to get the best out of them. And it also gave me the opportunity to give my story and how I got where I am, and also the thinking behind every single recipe in the book, because each recipe has an introduction paragraph, and that was my opportunity really to just show how these things come into my mind, because pizza inspiration can come from anywhere. And if you read my book, you'll realise I've had inspiration from some weird places. Like, it can literally come at any point in any day. And I think I really enjoyed that side of the book, not just writing recipes, but writing about all the different pizzas and how I got to where I am, and the big influences in my life, like family members, other pizza makers, like Ooni as a company. It was just really nice to get it all down in one place. And I just hope everyone enjoys like reading that side of it as well, not just the recipes, but the other side of it, because the nature of my job, I'm an engineer, but I write instructions on how to do things. So writing a recipe like step by step comes quite naturally to me because I've been doing it a long time. But the other side of the book, like writing the chapter introductions and the acknowledgements, the introduction to the whole book, I found that quite challenging because I think you have to be quite creative in your writing, and that's something I do struggle with a little bit. But doing it, I've really developed that side of myself. So I feel like I've got more of an all-round package now in doing things like that. It was a difficult part of the book, but really, really enjoyable as well.
That's amazing. Congratulations. I mean, it sounds like, I don't know. You know, I'm sure it's like, wow, you got approached by a book, but like the fact that you're at this point where now you're making an announcement, you must be just living off a high right now, I imagine.
Yeah, like I say, it's a great feeling. It's a feeling of relief that I'm at the point where I've done most of the hard work now. So it is a big feeling of relief, but I think proud of the whole thing, really. That's the biggest emotion.
You should be proud. When you say you're done with the hard work, it means you're done writing the book. Now you're just waiting on a few editorial notes, which is like a part of the publishing process. But now you are out and about. I assume you're going to be out and about pushing the book. What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a couple of small editorial steps to go through, but the majority of that side is done now. But yeah, so it's all about getting the word out there now and promoting it, and which Page Street as a company, I think they take the lead on that. But so they do a lot of that side of thing, probably a bit nearer the time. So I think we're still quite early on in the process, really. But I think one thing I haven't said is it's got a release date of 31st of January 2023. So I think a few months prior to that date is when Page Street will kick in their promotional stuff. But yeah, I'm still in the stage of looking at things to do to promote it. I've identified a few retailers, some quite big retailers, which we're going to approach, which already sell Ooni products. So we're going to try and get some copies into those retail spaces to help sell the book. And I'm thinking about approaching some local like radio and media to try and spread the word locally as well. Because obviously my friends and family will all know, but it would be nice to be able to spread the word in my local community as well. So we're still early on in those stages, but yeah, I'm looking at any idea is a good idea, I think, when it comes to promotion, really. So yeah, I'll be doing as much as I can, definitely.
I think Arthur Bovino had a great segment on our podcast episode when he talks about promoting himself and how you should absolutely do it. And he talks about how he promoted his book. So I'd be happy to send that over to you, or you can talk to him.
I listened to that episode yesterday, actually. I literally listened to that yesterday. So yeah, he's definitely someone I'd probably like to get in touch with, that, because he sounds like he knows his stuff.
Yeah. You have, the good thing is you have this network of people that can, if not help you directly, help you indirectly, help you by connecting you with somebody else that can help you if they can't help you directly. And so I'm excited to see how your efforts go. You're going to have to fill me in probably early next year just to let me know how it's going. But I wish you all the luck.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been, like I say, it's been enjoyable. I just feel privileged, really, to be given the opportunity. It's not something I ever thought. Well, even recently, if someone had said to me, "You'll be a published author with your own recipe book," I'd probably have just laughed. It's just, I still find it really surreal. I think that's the biggest word that describes it so well. It's just really surreal. And seeing, like, when I first noticed it was on Amazon to pre-order, I was just on Amazon reading about myself, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, it just doesn't seem right. But yeah, it's and I remember one of the biggest moments was when my daughter found out I was on Amazon. She was like, "What? You're on Amazon?" And I was like, "Well, my book is, not me, but yeah." And like she looked at it, and I just saw the look on her face. She was really proud as well, and my wife's really proud of me and the rest of my family. And it's just a really nice feeling.
I'm very proud of you, and I'm sure the community is proud of you right now after hearing this announcement. Man, to think back to when you first got your oven, I bet you couldn't even imagine saying, "Okay, this oven is going to come with a book deal in a few years, or like in a year and a half."
I think my opening line in the book, I won't give too much away, but is, I think I say something like, "It's fair to say my Ooni Karu is a complete life changer," or something like that. And that's an understatement. It really has changed my life. Like, I just can't imagine what it was like before. Really, it's like when you have children, you can't remember your life, and you'll obviously be having this feeling very soon. You just can't remember what your life was like before they came along. It's a similar feeling.
That's amazing. Who is this book for? I'm just curious to know. Who are you writing it with, the end reader in mind?
Yeah, it's a good question. I tried not to target too much of a specific audience, really. So I'd probably say I'd like to think that any pizza maker out there can get something out of the book. Whether or not you're brand new, you've never made a pizza before, you will get, I think, a lot out of this book. I've literally tried to take everything out of my brain and put it in the book. So there's so many, like, we talk about little details, and it's little details when you're making pizzas as well, which can make big differences, and it's taking the time to do those details. So I think new pizza makers definitely will get a lot out of the book. And I think because I've added a lot of my little tips and tricks and things that I do, which may be different which will be different to other people, I'd like to think someone who is a more experienced pizza maker could pick it up, read it, and go, "Oh, actually, I've not thought of that. I'll try that." So they're probably not going to get as much benefit out of it as a brand new pizza maker. But I think there's still benefit to be had from anyone. And although there's sections and it's how to use an Ooni pizza oven, there's large parts of it that can be used whether you're using a different oven, a home oven. I'd like to think I've targeted quite a large audience without being, because I think if you go too big, it loses its appeal really. So I've tried quite hard to get that niche in the market really, but time will tell whether I've achieved that.
It seems like the whole idea with you placing it near an Ooni, or like in a hardware store that sells Ooni products, it seems like you're targeting pizza makers, Ooni users, and yeah, I think there is a need for something that's visually captivating when you're buying a new toy to experiment to make pizza with.
Yeah, I mean, the thought process in getting it in hard copies in stores as well as being online is if you're buying an Ooni oven, and then right next to it there's a book which tells you how to make pizzas in an Ooni oven. If that was me, I would be interested in that. So that's my thought process, because I think the majority of the sales will probably be online because we're in an online world now. But I think targeting areas like that could be quite beneficial as well.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I wish you the best of luck. Is there anything else that we missed that we need to cover over the book? I mean, January 31st is the expected date. You can pre-order it now.
That's currently the expected date,
Yeah,
you can pre-order now. It's available on Amazon to pre-order. So go pre-order.
I love it. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm going to be giving away a few books for listeners of this podcast exclusively. So make sure to stay to the very end to find out how. But I want to support my boy over here, and yeah, happy to be able to get these in people's hands. So make sure to stick to the very end and find out how.
Thank you. Appreciate that, mate.
Of course. What is next for you as in your wild ride of pizza? Like, what's calling your name after this? I mean, January 31st is just around the corner. The book ships, and then you find yourself done with promotion. Where do you see yourself?
I'll probably take a bit of a break.
Good. That's a very honest and important answer. Resharpen that saw.
Yeah, I think it's important after because it's been intense. I think it's important to recharge the batteries, ready for whatever does come next. And I don't know really is the honest answer. I don't have any specific targets or plans. I like to just see how it goes really. And I think whether or not something comes on the back of this book, I don't know. I'd like it to, but you just never know what's going to happen, good or bad. And I think if the book does well, there may be scope to do a follow-up, which I think the way it works with publishers, I think there's a period of exclusivity with them if they want to take an option up of a second one. I think there's a 6-month period where you can talk about that and maybe strike up a deal. So we'll see. But that again, it depends on how well the book does. If it does really well, who knows? But if it doesn't do very well, that might be the last book. But I try not to think too far ahead, really, because I think it can be very easy to get ahead of yourself. But I like to. I've got this far without making any big plans or having any major targets, and I think I like to think opportunities will come of it, but I don't know what I don't know what they will be.
Okay. Solid advice. And, if you're constantly just one project after the next and after the next and after the next and not giving yourself time to breathe or consider alternative options and really just be introspective with yourself, like you'll just be on this like never ending wheel and then it leads to burnout. So,
Yeah, and I think something I touched on earlier is I think I want to be careful to make sure making pizzas stays fun, because I don't want to steer away from that. I've managed to keep that up to now, and like I say, it's been a lot more intense making pizzas for the book because I've been making a lot to do all the photo shoots and stuff. So it's been a lot more intense than what it was before, but I have still managed to keep that fun element. And I think I do worry that if I take on too much or I do something not right for me, then if I start losing that fun, then it becomes different. It becomes more of a chore, and that's something I really don't want to go down the road of.
Yeah, definitely. It takes away the fun, and then what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, solid. Wow. That hour went by quickly, and I want to start. Of course, why wouldn't have I expected that? I want to start wrapping up here and give us some space to go over a couple of questions that I always ask at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Curious to know what you're going to say here, but what is one mistake in pizza, business, or life that people can avoid?
I think one thing, it's probably not a mistake that people could make, but I'd like to touch on a subject which is probably a bit more about how to deal with a certain scenario, if that's okay. And that's something that I feel quite strongly about, and that's negativity in not just the pizza community, but the online community. So I think it's a subject and something that I've experienced myself, and I think it's happening more and more now in the world, not just on Instagram. But I think because I've had my fair share of it, unfortunately, since I started out. I think I'd just like to make people aware who may have experienced it themselves or are yet to experience it, and make them a bit more prepared for it, because it does happen to a lot of people. And I think my advice to people would be, try not to take it to heart, and which is very, very difficult to do. Like I say, when I first started, when I got my first bit of negativity, it really hit me hard. I didn't know how to deal with it. It's not something I'd ever experienced in my life, really. So I'm a lot more hardened to it now. It doesn't affect me like it used to. Don't get me wrong; it's not very nice when people are saying negative things about you or the things that you've made and you're proud that you've made. But I think if anyone is going through something like that, rather than just sitting there suffering on their own, because it does make people suffer in silence. And I think one thing I'd say is to reach out to people within the pizza community that you have got a connection with and that you trust, because that people will help you. They will give, for all the negativity you'll get from someone else, they will give you positivity, and it'll lift you back up. And it's something that I've learned over time, and it helps you learn how to deal with it. And it's just, like I say, it's not a nice thing to experience, but it's something that you can learn to deal with and not let it affect you like it maybe has done in the past. And there's plenty of people out there that will help you, and I can vouch for a lot of people that have given me a lot of positivity when I needed it, because people don't realise what effect it does have on people. One negative comment on something could have a serious impact on someone's mental well-being and the way they feel. So just making one flippant comment, it might not seem much, but if you step back and think about what that person might be going through and how it might make them feel, I think maybe people will start thinking twice before actually doing it, because it's not nice. There's no place for it.
There's this old saying, I had to look it up because I wanted to make sure I used the right word. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. And so it's like you can pile on a bunch of stuff on a camel and travel with it, right? And the camel's okay. But the minute, you're piling on too high, and then you just put this little tiny straw that you may think is just weightless, all of a sudden the camel falls down, breaks, right? And you don't know if that one comment that you're receiving or the one comment that you're giving negatively breaks that camel or that person in behind the screen. And what you said is spot on. It's just find your tribe that will support you, like when there are negative issues that come across your way, because they are bound to happen, especially when you are quote unquote playing this game of Instagram. It's like you put yourself out there, people will target you, unfortunately.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, criticism can be constructive. I've got no issue with people constructively criticizing, but when it becomes nasty and hurtful, and personal, that's the line for me. And I think, like I say, unfortunately, I have experienced that on a number of occasions. And there's different ways of dealing with it. I mean, like I say, reach out to people, and you could instantly block and delete that comment and block the person from ever doing it again. I don't like to do that instantly. That's something is a last resort, which I have done, but maybe it's giving someone the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's a one-off. I don't know, but don't feel like you have to ignore it. I mean, if you're being targeted, you can speak, you can respond in a positive way. You don't have to respond in the same manner, or there's ways to do that. And I think definitely don't respond in the heat of the moment. Always either sleep on it or take a step back and think about how you're feeling, because you can make mistakes doing things in the heat of the moment, say things you might regret. But like I say, there's different ways. And I think if it is nasty, hurtful, and personal, to me, that's when the delete and block option comes out, because that's just unnecessary. But if someone's criticizing something you've made, that can be more of a discussion, where you might need to educate the person to why you've done something that they believe is wrong. So I think depending on the form of negativity, I think they're the best probably ways to deal with it. So it's not really me answering a question of what mistakes can people avoid, other than people maybe thinking about what we've just discussed, and maybe if they've done that in the past to someone, maybe thinking, oh, I'd not thought about how it made people feel. So maybe that's the way you can twist that answer.
Let's put it this way. There are a lot of, learning opportunities here. And for me, what I thought of is that, other than what you've stated already, is that don't let that other person, if you are on the receiving end of the negativity, don't let that other person win. Whether it's, and winning, can have different definitions, but it's like whether it's not giving them the last word or not letting them ruin your day, and just just not letting them win. Figure out what that definition is and try to work towards that. It's freaking hard.
I think that's exactly right. And it's not, the thing is, it doesn't just affect the person who has that account. Other people see it and they might not be comfortable with it, or like my wife sees all my comments, and if she sees negativity on my account, she gets upset. It does upset her, and that makes it even more annoying when I can probably deal with it myself, but other people might not be fortunate enough to be able to just bat it off, but I just think people don't think about the knock-on effects when they're making these comments. So I think I'd just advise people to just think before you press post, really.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being vulnerable there for a second. It's real, and so I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem.
What do you want to leave the audience with today?
I want to leave on a positive note after that.
Please.
Yeah. It basically just a massive thank you, because to everyone out there who has ever liked, commented, sent me a DM, and anyone who has ever shown any form of support to me, I just want to thank, because looking back from where I am now with the book, being an ambassador, and all the amazing opportunities I've had, I wouldn't be where I am now without the whole community. And we've touched on negativity there, but I'd like to emphasize that 99.999% of the online community is incredible and so positive and supportive. And so, yeah, I just want to thank everyone for helping me along my journey, really, and getting me to where I am today. And my friends, family, everyone, really. It's an incredible journey, and I just feel so lucky to be where I am today. And it's all because of people helping and supporting, really. Without those people, no one would have the opportunities that I've had.
Amazing.
And you for having me on again.
I am the lucky one here to have your presence on the show and really just have a good time with you, Scott. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been really fun. I've really enjoyed it again. It's great.
Amazing. Cool. Well, we will chat soon. I appreciate you for being on. Take care now.
Brilliant. Thank you. Cheers.
Scott, thank you so much for being on the show and for being a great friend. Thank you for showing us what is possible when you pursue your passion for pizza. I wish you all of the success in the world, and I can't wait to see your pizza journey continue. To you, the listener, please go follow my good friend Scott on Instagram and then DM him and let him know what's good dough. Also, if you're listening to this show, do me one quick favor and share it. Share it and tag me so that I can enter you into a raffle to win a copy of Scott's book. You have until the end of the month to share, so if you're listening to this a little late after it's been released, don't worry, I got you. But make sure to share it as soon as possible and tag me. Other than that, I appreciate you. I love you. Till next time. Peace.